Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the fragile, almost invisible infrastructure that powers our digital world. We're going to find out how a distant conflict could actually grind the entire AI revolution to a halt. All right, let's just dive right in with a question that might seem, well, a little out there. We're going to connect the dots between a conflict happening thousands of miles away and the super advanced tech that's literally in your pocket. Okay, so our story really kicks off right here, in this narrow channel of water, the Strait of Hormuz. It's not just some shipping lane, it's one of the biggest weak spots in the entire global economy, a massive single point of failure. I mean, think about that for a second. A full 1/5 of all the oil the world burns through every single day gets squeezed through this one little passage. And that's not even counting a huge chunk of the world's liquefied natural gas, or LNG. So what happens when this critical artery gets clogged? When things get unstable and it's too risky to pass through? Well, the entire global circulatory system has to find a new path, and that new path is much, much longer and way more expensive. And we're not talking a small detour here. Instead of that nice, direct route, tankers have to go all the way around Africa's Cape of Good Hope. We are literally adding almost 2 weeks to every single trip. And you better believe all that extra time on the water costs a lot of money. This detour jacks up fuel and operating costs by a staggering 30 to 50%. This is not some small price bump, it's a massive shock to the entire system. But here's the thing. This isn't just a problem for some shipping company. The shockwaves from this energy disruption travel from the high seas right to the heart of the most power-hungry industry on the planet, artificial intelligence. I mean, really think about this for a second. The data centers that train and run AI models, they're already sucking up as much electricity as entire countries. And a big piece of that power comes from natural gas-fired plants, which makes them incredibly sensitive to the price and supply of LNG. And this kicks off a pretty scary chain reaction. See, a shipping problem in the Gulf means less LNG supply. Boom, gas prices spike. That makes grid power more expensive and way less reliable. And the final domino to fall? Those multi-billion-dollar data center projects that are essential for the future of AI, they get delayed or even canceled. But wait, it gets even crazier. The problem doesn't just stop at the power plug for the data center. Oh no. It reaches right down inside the microscopic circuits of the computer chips themselves. Okay, so let's talk about helium. And no, not just for party balloons. In the tech world, it's an absolutely irreplaceable gas. You need it to create the super pure environments for making advanced chips. But here's the catch. A huge amount of the world's helium is produced as a byproduct of LNG production in Qatar, right smack in the middle of this whole disruption. So when a critical material like helium gets tight, well, chip makers have to make some really tough calls. They're forced to prioritize the products with the highest profit margins, and right now, that's the advanced GPUs and memory needed for AI. What does that mean for us? It means less capacity for the standard memory chips that go into your laptop, your smartphone, all our everyday gadgets. So looking at this whole fragile mess, companies and governments are realizing, okay, we can't just cross our fingers and hope for the best anymore. They're actively scrambling to rewire their supply chains to build a much more robust, resilient system. This is a huge shift in how businesses think. For decades, the name of the game was just-in-time efficiency. Keep inventories as low as possible to cut costs. Well, now the new mantra is just in case. It's about building up buffers, preparing for shocks, even if it costs more. It's about survival now, not just efficiency. And you can already see this shift happening in the real world. Companies are spreading their bets, buying more natural gas from stable places like the US and Australia. They're locking in long-term power deals with nuclear and renewables. They're stockpiling materials like helium, and they're being way more strategic about building new data centers where the power grid is strongest. All right, so after all this whole web of ships and gases and microchips, what's the big takeaway? What does this new playbook actually tell us about the future? Well, the really crucial lesson here is this. For decades, tech companies could just treat energy like a utility. Something that was just there, always on. That era is over. Now, energy stability is a primary business risk that has to be actively managed and planned for. It's moved from the background right to the foreground. Which, it leaves us with one last kind of provocative thought. We always thought tech supremacy was about who had the fastest chips or the smartest algorithms. But what if in this new volatile world, True technological leadership actually belongs to the nations and the companies who can simply guarantee that the lights will stay on.